Hello everyone, welcome back. In the previous sections, we have seen in theory how components of Hyperledger works and how those components come together to form a Hyperledger Fabric network. In this section, we are going to look into the lab in the sense we are going to see how those components work in practicality to form a Hyperledger Fabric network. So in this section, we are going to have a look into the coding, which contains all the coding details, which includes all these components and working of all these components hand in hand to create a Hyperledger Fabric network. This section is divided into different subtopics. The first topics which I'll be covering in this subsection is overview and prerequisites. Next, we are gonna have once we download all these prerequisites, we will get a sample repository. In that sample repository, we will have something called test network, which I'm gonna show you now how you are gonna get the test network when you download or when you clone the repository which is already there in the GitHub. And then we will use that test network to bring up our Hyperledger Fabric network. Then I'm going to explain the components that are there in the test network, and then we are going to create a channel. In the next subsection, we are going to create the chain code on the channel. Then we will try to interact with the channel which we have created using the test network that is already there as part of the sample repositories or the sample codes that are provided by Hyperledger. So in this section, let us go and look into overview and prerequisites for building a Hyperledger Fabric network. So if you followed the previous sections where I talk about the softwares and the packages that you need to install, by this time I think you should be familiarized. You should have familiarized yourself with the packages and the softwares that you have to install, and you already have that setup ready. So in this lab, we are just gonna go from there. So I assume that you already have the softwares and packages installed on your machine, and in my system also everything is ready. Now we are gonna get into downloading the fabric related sample code and also fabric related image. Now, this is a place where you will find a bootstrap.sh, which means a script file. So let me show you what is the content of that file. So if you see, this script file contains some methods which will pull the images, and it will also clone the sample repositories that are present in this URL. So this URL contains the fabric samples which is necessary for us to get the test network with which we will be building our network. And also with this, it also pulls the images that are needed for our Docker setup. So you have to use this command in order to clone that to your local machine. So because of the previous installations, you already have curl ready in your system. So all you need to do is you have to copy this and you have to paste it on your terminal, and it will download the sample repositories and also the Docker images that are needed for the Fabric network setup. It will take some time. It might take 2 to 3 minutes of time according to your network speed. So be patient. So because it will take time, so I've already downloaded this and I have that setup ready. So if you want to see the Docker images that are present in my machine, okay. So these are the Docker images that I have pulled when I gave this command. So this command has gone to that repo and it has fetched all the images that are needed for Fabric network setup. Also, it also clones the fabric sample folder or fabric sample repository, which contains many test networks, many use cases where you can easily explain the working of Hyperledger Fabric and Chaincode as well. So in this sample, fabric sample, so we have testnet. So test network is the one which we will be using to build our network and to explain you how the fabric formation comes into picture. So these are the images. So once you hit this URL, after this URL completes its download or cloning, you should be able to see this fabric sample repository, and also you should be able to see the Docker images that are listed here. So that is it for this lecture. So please follow this. This is a first and preliminary step that you have to follow in order to move forward. So please follow these steps and make sure that you have your Docker images present in your system, and you also have Fabric samples a Fabric sample folder available in your local machine. So that is it for this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture.